This is episode 254. By the time I hear her honk on a recorder, whenever I'm reading a title, I feel like doing the eyebrows about it.
You got to do it. Yeah, it's all in the brows. This time, by the time you hear this episode, we will be talking about my trip to PAX Unplugged, a new amp and IR loader from Boss, our music Christmas lists, and oddly enough, the Beatles. Who are we?
Out of nowhere.
Out of fucking nowhere. It's the tone control.
Stay tuned. No, I didn't like that. I'm just going to keep trying things. One of these days I'll land on one.
Yeah, you'll get a real Justin Zinger. Maybe in 255 we'll land on it.
Okay. Welcome once again to the new way of things. Do you remember?
No.
How everything was gonna go? Everything was gonna become easy and normal on Mondays.
Yeah, I do.
And then
I remember you saying that.
I think, returned from a trip like maybe a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, today.
And everything was going to be great on my end. My wife got called for jury duty. And got sat on a trial today. Thinking it might only take a couple of days. Okay. But it meant she had to basically try to do all of her day's work after she got home. And anyway, it's a civil trial. I know somebody's going to ask what it's about. I don't know what it's about because she's not allowed to say, but it's a civil trial. I know from context clues. And I'm about to perjure myself. Anyway, that's not perjury because I'm not sworn in. I'm about to violate the rules. I know from context clues that has something to do with cutting trees down. So,
okay.
Real juicy stuff.
Wow, some hard hitting,
exactly,
crazy stuff. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I got back. I got back from a trip today. We got back at 12:30, and guess what I came back with?
Convention cough. I don't know.
Close. That's probably, that clock is ticking for me, I think. But I came back with a baby with an ear infection and RSV.
Oh, great.
Yep. So guess whose baby's on antibiotics again?
Son of a bitch.
Yep. So that's just the life, To be fair, he was awesome with my parents who watched him all weekend. So
they didn't have to deal with it.
Correct. So he was killer. He had a great time. They had a great time. All was good. And we had an outstanding time in Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged. So
sweet.
Yeah. Look at this friggin' gigantic D20 that I got.
Yeah. Well,
It's
huge.
huge.
The D20 has to be pretty big before you can reasonably get it to land on a side, right? It's not the smallest die in the world.
No,
right?
it's not, but I have a regular sized one here.
Yeah.
Here's a regular one.
Okay.
And I think this is a 38 millimeter.
So it's like almost double size, yeah.
It's
diameter.
huge, yeah.
It's clearly,
yeah. But it's cool. It's got Mylar inside, and it's all shiny and reflective and stuff. It's very cool. I got a few for some friends. They were $5 or $6 a piece. They're just kind of cast resin things, but really fun. Yeah, man. Coming in tired and with a baby that's not feeling so great.
Yeah.
So,
well, shit, I got sick last weekend. I just realized in between. No, and I mean, I got really sick, but just for a couple of days. So I guess it was, so let's see, last week there was the whole Thanksgiving business, and then we.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm trying to center what's going on in a tone control week. Yeah. So since the last episode, we had the Thanksgiving holiday, right? And then on the Friday, we go cut a tree down. Speaking of cutting down trees, Turns out Justin's on trial.
This is what we do. It was me. Anyway, I just cut somebody's tree down in their front yard. It just looked like the perfect Christmas tree, so I just took it. You know what I mean? And apparently that's
what
not
you do.
okay.
Okay.
Allegedly.
So, no, anyway, that's our tradition. We go, we put the thing up and then we decorate, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of go through the thing. We put the tree up, we decorate it. And by like 9 at night, I was like, I'm sick. Like my throat hurts. I'm getting something. And which was alarming to wife because I'm a sickness denier. I do not tell her I'm sick until it is over with, if I can help it at all.
Ah, okay.
You know, I try to just not let it change my life.
For whose benefit, hers or yours?
For mine. I don't want it to change my life if I can help it. I don't want to like wallow and stuff like that. Like I prefer to like ignore.
What you're saying is you're not denying that sickness exists. You're denying.
Right. Sorry. Okay. I am not denying germ theory.
Okay. You're denying. You're not a man flu person.
When I get sick, it's most of the time, it's like not that bad. And it's like, I have a cold. I'm not going to I'm going to be a little less productive, but I'm not going to change my whole life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let it take me over. So this one took me over. I had the next day, I was really sick. I had 103.5 fever.
Whoa.
It was like COVID level fever.
You were cooking.
I was in a bad way. And
oh
then,
my God.
And then I started getting better. So by Monday, I was able to go to work and being okay. So it's just a weekend thing, but
that's weird. I've had some colds or had a flu, I don't know what it is, something where I end up with a fever for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like a short little thing or a day or two. And it's like, what was that kind of thing? And it's just gone.
Very much like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was medicating myself and
Huh.
So, I mean, it managed to take maybe 24 hours, a little more, maybe.
Well, I'm glad you're better.
Yeah. So it didn't last very long, but it was really hit hard. So, and then, God, what else did I do? Then I just did normal stuff. Then everything was normal.
Just normal Justin things. Cool.
Just normal Justin things. My kid's doing some riding lessons. She's doing 4 riding lessons here in December, and she's fucking loving it.
Motorcycles?
Yep. No, horses this time.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to one. Marielle's been taking her, but apparently Marielle says that Aria is more focused and intent and doing everything right and good than anything she's ever done.
She is thriving. She's found a thing.
She's following all the directions. She's paying exactly attention. You know what I mean? She's tacking the horse by herself. She's, you know what I mean? She took the saddle off the horse and cleaned the horse all off all by herself and all this stuff.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm going to go next. They're on Sundays, so I'm going to take her next Sunday and observe the magic.
Wow.
But yeah, maybe
that's insane.
This might be something she's really into. So
that's how it felt for me when I started with guitar.
Yeah.
I'm just, you see that early progress or that early, this is something I can actually do.
Yeah. It's the first day they didn't even get on the horse till the very end. She was absolutely focused, not whining about it at all the whole time.
I mean, that's great.
So it's and the place is 5 minutes from here. We have this just great big farm with a bunch of horse stuff. It's right next to us. It's fantastic.
Awesome. I love that. I guess I can get into my first bullet item, which is that I went to PAX Unplugged, which I just mentioned, but I can...
PAX Unplugged. Should we punctuate that?
Sure.
Is this part of the show? This is it.
This is part of the show, but it's also what I've been up to.
Yeah.
A little of both. So, PAX Unplugged is a tabletop gaming convention.
Oh, look at that. I was going to call up a website and see if I can make it look good.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that. And it's in Philadelphia. And they do it every year. And it's kind of the weekend after Thanksgiving, it seems to be. Mm-hmm. Kind of right around that zone. And it was our first time there, and it was the most fun thing we've done in a really, really long time. We had such a ball. So we are, we like board games. We play a lot of board games, but that has kind of fallen away from us as we have a baby. feeling really reinvigorated about board games. We bought a lot of stuff. This was like our,
my life is back.
It really was like a chance for us to live our old life for a few days. We were like going out to dinner, getting drinks and staying out late and like doing all this like fun stuff again. And then we came back to a sick baby. So, the whiplash is wild. But PAX it stands for Penny Arcade Expo, and they do, it's primarily a video game centric organization. I've been to PAX East a number of times, which is in Boston, and they do have a tabletop gaming section of that and the other PAX events as well. But it had been, the tabletop section of PAX East anyway, had been kind of shrinking slowly over the years. And ta-da, they spun it off into its own event. So there's no video games present to this thing at all. It's all tabletop RPGs, board games, card games, dice games, anything that is a physical gameplay thing. And it rocked. It was so fun. So fun. We bought so many games. We're going to have to like go through our collection here and try to sell a few things because it's like, well, we're never going to play this, and I would much rather keep this other game that we just got and that kind of thing. I got a bunch of like massive D20s for my D&D group.
All the herd. Yeah.
Yeah. And what else? Philadelphia is a really cool city. Philly knows how to eat, dude. I had some of the best Mexican food of my life in Philly. So just everywhere we turned, there was like awesome food. What else? We got some games that like had been on our list for a really long time. Yeah. Things that like you can't find them on Amazon, and if you buy it from the manufacturer, it feels too expensive, and the shipping is like too high. There was this game called Moonrakers I'd been on the lookout for. It was like, I think $70, which is pretty high. Yeah. And then it was like $20 shipping for a board game. And I was like, that's a lot, and I'm not sure if that's something and what if we don't like it?
In Amazon.
I know.
To accept that,
Yeah. And so it was there, and they had a show special. It was on like 20% off. So I didn't have to pay shipping, and I got the game for $50 or something like that. So perfect. But yeah, it was outstanding. And if you're a board game person, I super recommend it. Have you guys ever considered going to Gen Con? Do you know about Gen Con?
I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you about it.
It's in Indianapolis, which I know is not terribly far from you. And it's the biggest.
Less than a couple of hours, I think.
Yeah, it's the biggest tabletop gaming convention in the country. And it was started by Gary Gygax, creator of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like the big
dragon
one.
Himself. Yeah.
Yeah, the dungeon.
Wait, so, which is it?
Turns out he's and. So I don't know. We were talking about like, oh, it's maybe they could go sometime, and because it's huge. It's huge. We got to see Shut Up and Sit Down do a live panel, which is
was that the thing that you showed me, or was that a different thing?
That was the thing I showed you. Yeah. Okay. We were in the group text. Yeah. So the Shut Up and Sit Down is a really fun board gaming, tabletop gaming podcast, YouTube channel, stuff like that. They do really great reviews of board games, and they're very funny. They're very like quick-witted guys, and they also offer you like really sincere looks at games and why you might like or dislike them. So the content is not just jokes; it's like genuinely high-value content. So they did a panel. It was an hour long, and they said the title was "Shut Up and Sit Down's Top 1,000." And so we walked in thinking, this is their list of top. We're gonna be here
all day.
Yeah. So we walk in, and they're like, we thought it was going to be the top 1,000 board games that they like. And they're like, we've booked this hall for 7 hours.
Right. You sent me this picture, our top 1,000 in a picture, and you go, okay, it's 3:00. Let's get started. Okay. Number 1,000.
Yeah. It turns out that was not it. Instead, when I want to do this, I think we should do this sometime.
Yeah.
Was just a top 1,000 period.
Of anything.
Of anything. So they're like, there's a microphone there, line up and say your thing and we'll rank it. And that's it.
So they're sitting on stage just going, like giving them one of these kind of.
So there's some rules, like don't be a dickhead, right? No making fun of people.
All right.
Once something is on the list, you cannot move it up or down. It is in its place. It is locked in at its number. So
is it like a tier list, like S tier, A tier?
No, just like 1 through 1,000. Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. So people are getting up there and they're like, the sun.
And you don't want to go too high, right?
Because it's like, there's 1,000 things. What's going to be number one, right? And so then they get into all this other stuff like, okay, we're gonna roll a 6-sided die, and depending on we're going to roll a 6-sided die and flip a coin. If it's heads, you're going to move up by that many rank. And if it's tails, you're going to move down by that many rank. Right? But on an order of 1,000, 6 places is kind of nothing.
Right. Pointless.
So there's somebody early on gets up there and is like, Dungeons and Dragons, right? That's like a major pull for PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't really like Dungeons and Dragons here at Shut Up and Sit Down. And so they decide to rank them individually: Dungeons, Dragons, and. So and comes in at like 54 or something like
Oh, wow.
that.
Very high.
And then Dungeon and Dragon are in the 800s. And then at any point, like, the audience could just chant no over and over if they vetoed something being on the list. It was so ridiculous.
So it's just like an hour of horsing around then.
Oh, yeah. We only got into like 20 things.
That's amazing.
It was really fun. So somebody's just getting up there like, sleep. You know, or the feeling when plans get canceled for something you didn't want to go to.
It's a good one.
Tacos.
I like that. That's top 100 for me.
And there's all this debate around it, and they're just like really funny people. So anyway, that was super fun. And that's my spiel.
That's it.
I don't want to go on too long about all the fun I've had away from guitar.
No, that sounds great. Yeah. I would like to go to something, to the nearby. Yeah, I mean, Indianapolis is a really pretty easy drive.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, it's probably it's not a bring the kiddo thing. No, that's too much walking around. I don't know why I'm playing this in my head right now while the camera's pointed at me.
We walked about 6 or 7 miles a day.
Yeah.
On a hard concrete, convention center floor. So yeah, it's a long day and I'm still feeling it, but it was so fun. We got some really outstanding games. And people just show up to like compete. There's like tournaments and stuff. New games are announced, things like that. And you can talk with the publishers. There's game manufacturers. There's game art, all these different categories of things. So really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. Cool, man. So,
cool.
Should we talk about a guitar thing?
Shall we do yet another thing? Yeah, all right. Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. So, Boss. It's time to talk about how Boss is.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So, all right, fine. Here's the thing. Boss. Oh man, they've done it now. Now they've done it.
Like, you're doing a bit, but they have really done it.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
they're about to blow everybody out of the water with this one. It's the IR2 amp and IR cabinet.
So pedal. Was there an IR one?
Nah.
Or is it just two because there's both?
I think probably just because it's both.
Yeah.
Was there a TU1? No, there was just the TU2, right?
Are we sure about that?
I'm not.
I'm not either.
So it's an IR loader. It's the standard compact Boss size, and it has
picture.
Yeah, it has some Boss amps in it, and it's an IR loader. So it's got USB-C on the back. You can throw your stuff in it, and it's $200.
Okay, so all right. So I see microphone coming this way. I see we've got the selector on the right.
Yeah.
With a bunch of so Brit, high gain. What's that say?
Yeah. SLDN,
Flow?
probably Soldano.
Oh, DN, yeah. It's a little
like
far away from me. Yeah,
brown
Soldano. So, right, we've got Marshalls, we've got Mesas.
Yeah. Crunch,
Diamond
Tweeds, Twins.
is going to be Mesa. Yep.
Yep.
Great.
Rectifier, stuff like that. So it's got all the big sounds in it. And these are from like the Boss Katana series, which has been really successful. So I trust that these sound pretty good. There are 3 concentric stacked knobs for your 3-band EQ, and then things like ambience, level, and gain. There's an effects loop on it.
Yep.
Which is killer.
So
It's got fucking 6 jacks on this thing.
Let's view the gallery. Here we go.
View that gallery.
So stereo
input and output, obviously. Yeah, stereo out. Then there's like a channel select, and bypass functions are a little bit different. So you can channel select these amps, and that's what the switch does. Because why would you turn off your amp and IR cabinet?
Right, right. So you hold to bypass. Yeah.
Yeah, really smart. I am blown away that it's $200.
$200.
And it's the size of any other pedal, right? It's the size of just a regular Boss pedal.
Because they don't have to be a funny size.
It's the most exciting thing, I think, because it's really affordable. And it's I don't know, man, like the barrier to entry on going ampless is...
Yeah.
It's becoming non-existent.
Right, right. Because and like we're saying, so you can load something onto this. I mean, I guess
so. You can load it, and it's full of Celestion IRs already.
Well, right, but you could download an IR from somewhere, something really fancy, right, and stick it onto this thing. So it makes me think like when like UAD talks about their aux thing and the aux pedal that they made, and it's like theirs is so much better to hear them say it. So like, what is it? Is it
how much is that?
Are their IRs recorded better, or if I take their IR files, or IRs that are on that level and put them in this, is it the same, or is there something different about what they're doing in the software?
So the UA aux pedal that's out now is twice the price.
Yeah. So, and UA will tell you happily about how it's just the only thing that, it's the only thing good enough for the Edge. We finally cracked the code,
Yeah, theirs has 2 mics and you can blend them and you can change if it's dynamic condenser or ribbon on each. Like that's cool, but that's a level of granularity that I don't, like if you're getting into that, do you want it to be a pedal? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, you're programming this in software, and then so here's the aux stomp, which is basically just their aux amp top box that they put in here, and presumably taken the load box out of it.
Right. So
okay, so the software is a little more complicated.
Sure.
Yeah,
and it's got speaker drive as a variable, which is kind of cool. But
okay. So and now, so I don't do that much with IRs. Like I have some things that come with IRs because they were made that way, like some of the amp sims that I use in my studio, but I don't have a Helix or anything. So is there like a standard format? Like are they all interchangeable? Okay, there's a few.
There's a few. Usually when you buy one, you get it in all the formats. Like Helix uses a WAV. So it's just a WAV file that you load in. But like Fractal uses something else, and every IR that I have comes with it's like just a bundled folder, and it's like Helix, Kemper, Headrush, Fractal, like it's all the big players.
Okay.
And you just load in the one that's yours, because there's no reason for them to separate out which one you're buying, right? Because it's all just a single kilobyte file or something.
Right.
Like that.
So I've seen like drum sample stuff that's like this too, where it's like, here's the waves and here's a couple of standard, here's Superior Drummer and here's another one. Because frankly, those things come with a tool too. Like Steven Slate Drums comes with a tool where I can just drag and drop my wave files and then say print a TCL file, and that'll be the trigger like preset or whatever, ready to go, you know, because all it does is just put the waves into a spreadsheet or something and attach them. You know what I mean? It's just something that it understands and knows where to put the layers. So that makes sense. So it's interesting, that they're can be encoded as a wave file, but I guess that makes sense too, because it's just like the wave. When you sample an IR, you're basically taking the difference, right? You're projecting a sound, and like when you do it for an impulse response reverb, that's how this all started, right? Reverbs were the first software to do this, and you basically play. Usually, it was like a gunshot kind of sound, like a bang. And then also like a sine wave sweep. And you would do those two and record the result, and then some software would basically subtract the sound out of it, and all you're left with is the difference, and that's the reverb of the room.
Interesting.
So I'm assuming how they work. Something sort of similar is going on here, right? Where you're sort of playing a sound through a chain, and what you get on the other end is here's what the amp did to it. You know, subtract the original from it, and that's what you're left with.
The amp and the mic in this case.
Yes, the whole chain, right?
The whole thing. Yeah. To me, it's basically wizardry. Like I don't understand how it works. But this is actually a really great segue to talk about our giveaway, which you and I have not really discussed, but we should bring it up. But
do
just
it live.
a little bit more on this. I just want to mention really quickly about this Boss thing.
Yeah.
I think this is a do not sleep on kind of product, right? It's $200 and it's got a headphone out. So you can play silently at home with it and stuff. You know, pedals, I think, you know, the U.S. economy aside, I think pedal inflation has become a thing a bit. I feel like pedal prices are a little bit, they were kind of blowing up a little bit before inflation was in the news, you know?
Okay.
That's just I have nothing to support that. It just sort of feels that way to me. But $200, like how many pedals do I have that cost that and they do one single thing? Never mind are the whole amp solution, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, so realistically, this should be, I'm assuming that, like we said earlier, like what's different about this quality-wise? Like, is there some difference if we loaded the same IR into the aux stomp and into this, or into a Helix and into this? Is there going to be some difference? So assuming that there's not, because to me, I can't
imagine there would be. Why would there be?
Besides that, we don't have a knob for speaker breakup or whatever, right? So besides that, we're just using high, mid, low, and level and gain. Right, we're using like basically the 5 basic controls.
Yeah.
This is it. Like you could do this instead of an amp, and then have like the rest of your pedal board or whatever, and do a show.
Yeah.
Completely.
And it's got the thing that it's got the effects loop too. That feels like a feature. Like I know it's just more jacks, and it's just a little bit of software to tell it where to put those jacks, but
yeah.
For that price,
it's become necessary though. Like all of these, that is always on all of these products. So this is them just not missing the ball.
Yeah, but I mean, to keep that price, if it was $250, I would say like, sure, you know, bring it on. Like it's one of these things. Mm-hmm. You know, you look at the Iridium, it's $399. The Walrus Audio one is $399. They're all in that ballpark. And here comes Boss, like, hey, how about half that?
Yeah, that's interesting. So now I want to like keep an eye on YouTube, right, for somebody who's going to just take the same IR and put it into 3 or 4 of these things, and I want to hear him. Like, what does the difference sound like?
I mean, it's going to be tricky because the amps inherently are going to be a lot different. So, like, if you said
no, but I want to take the same IR and load it into a bunch of these and see. Like,
you mean the same amp model?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't know if you can do that. I think it's just speaker IRs.
Okay, so pardon me. So
which is true for the others as well.
Okay, so there's a big difference here. Then the IR is just the speaker part of it. It's not like a Kemper profile where it's a whole amp. Okay,
but in it is the whole amp. So like
no, I
you
understand,
can't change
but
it.
That's not the IR part that can be swapped out by USB. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, there will be a difference. That's like, Boss's version of a Marshall will not match Line 6's version of a Marshall.
Yeah, all right.
But I think I was messing around with IRs a couple of weeks ago and I was just like building a new preset, and I left the cabinet the IR the same across all of these different amps I was playing around with. And it does offer you a major point of consistency, like when A-Bing sounds and stuff. So I think you could still get a little bit of a feel for that. Like, how different is it?
Well, I know that, IR, the cab portion of these things, and cab and microphone is really what it is.
Right.
And sometimes preamps and other things. Because whatever they put in that chain when they captured that, that's what you're recording through, basically. So, like I use my UAD amp sims that Brainworks wrote for UAD. And so they have their whole setup at, like, I can't remember what studio it is in Germany, and they have a bunch of cabs, and they have this great big AMS console and several outboard things and several. So basically, like, I have the the Savage the Engel Savage 120 amp, and when I'm setting this up, when I have a guitar player here and it's like, okay, let's record, like, let's find our sound, I'm not twiddling the amp. I'm putting the gain in roughly the right spot, but that happens almost instantly. And I don't hardly ever touch the knobs on that angle. It's like gain, okay, we're good. Maybe a little bit of presence and resonance, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I flip open the thing and I'm just clicking the plus or minus button to scroll down the presets for
the
cabs.
IR list.
That is where all the different, and it's wildly
cabs.
different.
Yeah.
It's like so the reciprocal of what you're saying a second ago, it's throwing a Marshall cab on there and then scrolling through, okay, here's it with a 57. Here's it with a 57 in a different spot. Here's a big tube condenser. Here's both of them together. All these presets are there. Here's another one that has this EQ on it. Oh, now we're in a totally different cab, and they're wildly different.
Super different. It changes the whole feel.
All my tone sculpting is coming from that. I'm never touching the bass, mid, treble. Those things all stay at 12 o'clock. The amp sounds great. You're done, amp. Everything's happening, not in you. It's all the difference is happening in the cabs and the mics. So anyway, I guess yes, I'm on board. Like, even if these amps aren't great, for $200, even if they're sort of like middling amps, there's a hell of a lot you can do.
A hell of a lot. And the IRs that are included are from Celestion, which are good, right? And you can put in whatever else you have. Like, I end up using pretty much the same IR across all applications of when I'm playing guitar. Like, when it calls for an IR, if I'm going digital in any way, I tend to always use the same one because it's just it feels the most universal to me, right?
Okay,
it covers
which one is it? Out them.
It's the ML Sound Labs Pete Thorne 212. And it's the Pete Thorne, like, custom IR pack from his Sir brand 212 cabinet. I think it's a blend. It's two different speakers in that cab. I think it's a Creamback and a Vintage 30 maybe, or something like that. And they're blended.
Different microphones on each of them.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of IRs and speaking of ML Sound Labs, it's time to talk about our giveaway.
Aha. All right.
Aha.
What, give me the thing I can call up here.
Here, I'll just post it in the chat.
Yeah, but
there
you post it in the chat.
Grab
that.
Super duper mega generous friend and patron of the show, Doug, has donated this ML Sound Labs Mega Gent Pack IR bundle to the Tone Control for us to give away.
Mega Gent
Pack. Mega Gent Cab Pack.
It seems like, when you get super dolled up to go to a wedding or something, you're a Mega Gent.
Mega ladies and mega gentlemen.
Oh my God. So this is
so that I have tried pack. This. It's an IR pack. It is based on the exact Mesa Boogie oversized 412 cab that was used on, I believe, Periphery 3.
Okay.
So it is widely
survived
heard.
that.
Yeah. So there's this whole story about how the guy at ML Sound Labs acquired the cabinet and stuff and then made IRs with it. So I have used the ML Sound Labs stuff for a long time, and I am routinely impressed by what they're putting out for short money. So this pack includes, it's this one 412 Mesa, and you can have it loaded up with a 57, an SM7B, a Unidyne 3, an R121, an E906, MD421, M160, and KM184. And
KM184 is an interesting choice. I have never recorded a guitar with one of those. I would expect like a large condenser or something to be the one condenser on the but then again, I don't know, gent sounds maybe. Maybe that's just not what we're doing.
I think, well, the cab was used on this like iconic gent record.
Yeah.
But it is a super versatile cabinet pack in general.
That's true. This isn't an amp pack after all.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it's it comes with 5 brightness variations. This is how ML does it all the time, right? It's like, SM57, A, B, C, D, E. And they're just varying levels of brightness. Yeah. And then
maybe an angle. Yeah.
But they don't tell you any of that. It's just like, here's A, here's B, here's C.
Same and they're just brain works, yeah.
Yeah, and just to keep it easy, because you could get so in the weeds so quickly. And then 7 real-life multi-mic mixes, and they call them like, epic, massive, huge, like whatever they're, just a word, right, that's associated. Yeah. And they're more nuanced and kind of blends of these existing mics and stuff. So in total, you get 47 impulse responses, and they will load up into any of your IR-supported things. So how do we want to give this away, Justin? This is software too. So like, not software, but it is a file that would go in some software for you.
So we need people to self-select, because you got to be able to use it. Like somebody's got to have something that you can load it into. This can't be just, you wouldn't want to win this and be like, well, this is useless to me. So I don't know. I feel like we have to do something with Discord. Like we need to.
We have our newsletter too. Don't forget.
We have our newsletter. But how do we? But I don't know how to do that from the newsletter. So in my mind, the easiest thing I can think of is to just put something in Discord that says, react to this. Click the reaction kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
Put that in the recording channel. Well, yeah, we can make like a giveaway channel or put something in a specific channel that isn't going to get a lot of traffic or something like that. Just say react to it, and that way people are entering themselves. We should send it out on the newsletter and say, hey, join Discord, even if it's just to click on this thing.
We'll make a giveaways channel that like we're just mods for, and it's the only contents for it is giveaways where you react to enter. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then we'll figure out offline like when this will run through, but we are coming up on our holiday break that we like to do. With our bonus episode and things like that. So maybe it'll be around then. So we can sort of promote this a little bit more. We'll talk about it in the coming weeks and stuff. Do have to actually get a newsletter out there to tell people about this. But it's the
so
mega
if we do a newsletter and then do 2 or 4 weeks, that's enough. That's fair game.
Totally. So huge thank you to Doug.
Yeah. Very kind.
For sending this our way. He just bought 2 of them. He was like, here's one. I bought one. Here's one for you guys to give away. And I was like, guy, listen.
What are you trying to do here?
What are you doing? Too nice, too kind. And it'll work with basically everything. Headrush, Kemper, Line 6.
I was about to say, I asked you about formats earlier, and you were like, there's a few. There's like fucking 11 or 12 different things. They're not saying that they're different formats. They're saying that it's going to work with all these things.
It's so great because I can load the same IR with no trouble into my Helix, into my HX Stomp, which would of course be the same, or into my Rev D20, or into Logic, or like whatever. Like I can just put it wherever I want and really not have to worry. So
I could load them into an IR reverb and use them as a reverb.
Oh my God.
And the thing is, technically, if I set it to 100% wet, that will sound the same as a guitar cab loader because that's all it's doing. It's just processing the signal 100%. That's true. It wouldn't sound like a reverb. There wouldn't be any delay to it. It's just, anyway.
That's a true thing.
That's a true fact. That is the thing about impulse responses.
Wow. I had not even considered that possibility, but because why would I?
That's what I'm on it because
It's a fucking weird thing to do.
You don't ever deal with reverbs like this, and B, it's stupid.
Right.
So why would you have ever thought of that?
Why would I ever do that? Yeah. Right. It's like when I say like, oh, in Helix you can plug your guitar right into a speaker and then into an amp.
Great job.
Well, why would you do that?
You dummy. Yeah.
So yeah,
if you're the Beatles, you can just plug your guitar right into the console.
Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunk. Did we ever talk about that new Beatles song?
I have not listened to it.
Oh, wow. Boy, even I've listened to it, Derek. That's
I'm struggling with this AI thing.
But the AI, the AI did is clean.
Okay.
The AI
I did find that
strip
out.
Piano out of the vocal track. Yeah. Which I was doing today on a live mix, by the way. I'm doing a live mix for a band. It was recorded live at Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. And there is a ton of bleed on the vocal mic. And the drummer had a vocal. And the drums are louder than the vocal are in that mic. And so to use it, I used AI to isolate the vocal. And the mix is banging.
And what do you know? Yeah. I do know that, and I should listen to it. I just haven't. I've just been a loser about it, if I'm being honest.
I don't think it's like that big a deal. It's sort of cool. I think if you're a real Beatles fan, you'd get a kick out of it for anyone who is, kind of thing. But I think they did a pretty good job of not sounding modern, but not exactly. It doesn't totally just like emulate the sound of the old records. Like you can tell it's a modern mix.
Yeah.
But they didn't. The bass sounds kind of modern. It doesn't really sound like it's definitely not that Hofner bass. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not that. But just the way the feel of the drums and stuff like that. It's a mix. You know, it's a mix of. It's definitely them and their style. And it's a little bit more, it's not like a hypey poppy kind of sound. So
that's like when
it's kind of interesting to listen to and hear, like, so what are they doing here? Like how are they blending these worlds?
Maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, that Jimi Hendrix album came out.
Oh,
and it's called People, Hell, and Angels. And it is all original recordings. This is all like before the AI conversation, obviously, but it is mixed like a record from today or from 10 years ago. And it sounds like a Black Keys album. Like it has that kind of garage rock thing, but it's Jimi Hendrix.
Because that's kind of how it would come out, right? Because we were talking about like old techniques, but then a modern mix on top of it, old recording techniques, but then a modern mix. And this is maybe this is the opposite of that. Maybe you should listen to it. Tell me what you think. But maybe this is new recording techniques, and then they're trying to put the old mixing facade on it.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because the vocal is clearly old. And they didn't try to like super compress it or anything.
I often don't know how I feel about the Beatles. Like it's
same.
Like I'm not one to say that they suck. I know plenty of people are out there thinking they're interesting for disliking the Beatles, but like that's not what I'm after. I just I think you can't talk about the advancement of music, popular music, guitar-based music without talking about the Beatles, and like that's worth something, but I don't think they are the most interesting songs I've ever heard, right? But that's partly a sign of the times that like, just because so much has happened since then, maybe at the time, was it the most interesting song someone had ever heard? Quite possibly.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of Beatles catalog that I'm not into at all.
Oh yeah.
I think there's 10 or 15 songs that I think are truly great. and are like historical moments in the world. And then there's a lot that's like, it's fine, but it's not really like what I am wanting to listen to all the time. And a lot of it is kind of the mood of it, right? The sort of dancey, singy-songy, the Yellow Submarine crap. Like I don't want to go anywhere near any of that, right? So there's plenty of Beatles songs that strike me that way.
And even this like early British invasion time, I Want to Hold Your Hand and stuff like that. Yeah. They're just like clap along pop songs that are, but again, at the time, like you have to consider the context for that. Which I can't do because I wasn't there. So it's so hard.
What we're left with is we don't have the proper context except intellectually just trying to understand it. Things are out of tune because that's just the way it was back then.
And time,
although they were better than the fucking Rolling Stones.
Accurate.
Which I do not think I'm being interesting by saying the Rolling Stones suck. I just never liked them because their music is bad. It's kind of out of tune, and what you're left with is like stuff that sounds basically like live performances, and some of their songs are really good. So that's where I am with it, I guess. It's I really like the greatest hits kind of collections. That's usually got mostly stuff that I think is fantastic. And then there's a few others that I usually like. I can usually go find that it's like, oh, I really like that song, and it never makes it onto a greatest hits because every fucking Beatles song was a hit. So it's like, how do they choose, from a sales perspective? It's almost ridiculous.
When I was a kid, we had a lot of, my parents had a big CD collection, and we had a handful of Beatles greatest hits or like a box set or something like that.
Yeah.
And the last few tracks of one of the CDs was a few of their hits, like 2 or 3 or 4 hits. I specifically remember I Want to Hold Your Hand, entirely sung in German. For the German market.
Nice.
Yeah. You can find them on YouTube. It's so bizarre because it's everything that you know the thing. It's a different take. The whole song is a different take. And it's like a little different.
They did those all like live on the stage, right?
Yeah.
They weren't multi-tracking they weren't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
What's his name hadn't created the thing that they would need later to.
Yeah, right. It's so odd. Yeah, but I mean, like if Yellow Submarine comes on, I'm not going to be upset if it gets changed. Right? Like
I try to change it so fast because my daughter will be like, wait, why'd you skip that one? If she hears the first fucking note because I didn't skip it in time.
There's this awesome.
It's children's music. It's Raffi.
Yeah, there's an awesome video, or like I think it's just an audio clip that is on YouTube of a live performance of oh my God, the title is escaping me.
What's it about? I can help.
It's
Googling intensifies.
It's Randy Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive talking about the opening chord to Hard Day's Night. That's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
I got there. So that opening chord of Hard Day's Night, it's like this weird, it's not dissonant, but it's like 2 or 3 chords together and it doesn't really make any sense. There's this really cool, like his band was going to play it and he's like, all right, let me explain what's happening here. And he like goes through each track to the audience and is like, well, Paul's playing this and John's playing this, but he's adding this other note in the top. And each band member plays their own part separately.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, and on everybody together, 2, 3, 4, plang. And it's like perfect, right? It is totally the perfect thing. Yeah. And it only works if you're doing all these things kind of not incorrectly, but they clash and overlap in a way that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And you can't do it without multiple instruments and all this stuff. So go look that up. It's really cool.
All right.
That's it.
That's right now. All right.
No,
thanks to everybody who
right
watching the show.
Now, before we move on.
Before we
move on, I came up here tonight. I had shown Beth a funny video on my phone, and that video exists on TikTok. And I'm wondering, she wanted me to get a blind reaction from you.
Okay, so you're going to play it over the thing right now, and I'm going to watch it?
Turn my phone
Here we go.
up. Here we go. That's it.
Yep.
Anyway, I just wanted to squeeze that in there before I forgot. So
before we bounce too far, my kid is learning the recorder in music class at school, and she keeps. I've not heard her play one, but she says that when I was brushing her teeth today, she's humming, and then she says to me, "Daddy, have you heard Le Clair de Lune?" Because I can play it on the recorder.
Whoa. So she's playing the recorder only at school and not at home?
Yeah, they have some there.
Okay.
We don't have one. I mean, I
well, let's keep it that way.
Yeah. I'm just so interested, like, by the time I hear her honk on a recorder, is it going to sound like a note? Because she I saw her like pantomiming, doing her fingers, and she was humming the melody, and I was like, okay. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder if it's going to squeak when she does it. I'm not sure. Okay. I'm going to I feel like I could have put a bunch more sounds in this show and I didn't, but that's
We'll do one now because we have a question or a topic suggestion from Discord right here at the 55th minute.
Right here at the squeezing it at the end. I keep thinking that one's going to end like 3 times.
Well, I always end up doing the halftime trick at the end because I love it.
Right.
But so earlier today, when the community was putting the show together, because I was on here, which wouldn't have changed anything, I guess. Mike suggested the topic could be music Christmas list. Isn't necessarily like gear you want, but maybe what gear do you hope your favorite company will release next? Or what do you want to hear from your favorite band? Anything you would wish for around music?
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
I was thinking about this, for like an hour.
Yeah.
It's always studio stuff for me. I've actually bought several things recently, but it's all AI stuff. The fancy new tech is plugins and things that are doing processing that is black magic and is pretty goddamn amazing. Guitar, what would I want? What could I invent? I would love to have like a Kemper kind of deal in software. Like, I don't care about a hardware Kemper, but if I had Kemper that would run on my UAD hardware, so that I could just purchase things from the Kemper library marketplace thing, and because I would probably have a lot of amps at my disposal.
Do you mean specifically from Kemper or like from anywhere?
Well, I think so I'm picturing if it's software, I would want to be able to record through it without any latency with my UAD stuff. So really, I would need it to be like a collab between UAD and Kemper, which I know isn't going to happen. But so it would be, what I'm thinking of is just something on that level. You know what I mean? UAD makes a lot of here's the, Marshall Silver Jubilee amp, and it's in immaculate detail. It's I don't care about that. What I want is they have the Townsend Labs. They bought Townsend Labs, which is a microphone modeling thing. So they own that, and they're
we talked
UAD,
about that here.
Right. They're UAD branded now. So that is you buy a pack, and it has a basic, and I think there's one expansion for it, and it's just a bunch of microphone profiles, and then you can record through them or mix with them and stuff like that. Something like that for guitars. I want the amp where I can have a lot of amps in it. You know what I mean? Rather than
and
this
the
plugin
community.
is exactly. Stuff, community made stuff. And I understand that there's a lot more money if they just keep making one amp model and selling that amp model for a couple of $100. You know what I mean? I know why I don't have it, but like that's the guitar related thing that I would instantly scoop up. Whereas all these other amps, I hesitate. I don't know. How often am I going to use that one amp? You know, I don't know.
Right.
Is that worth it? It's tough.
Yeah. Would you get into the game of modeling amps that you come across? Like if you were at
if I had something for that, yeah.
Yeah, like if you could do it through your UA hardware and you were at Monastery for a day and they had like a cool old Fender Deluxe or something.
He has an old Supro. He has a bunch of old stuff. He has like a legit old like gnarly stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Like that would be so cool to do and just like have it in software. Because that's all it is in the Kemper. Obviously,
right?
Like it's just
exactly. Yes, and I said, I don't want a hardware because I'm so happy with the way I just did this Eisengeist record is direct in with, and I'm printing dry guitar to my track, but it is monitoring through and playing back from the DAW through this amp model. And I can change it on the fly. I can do anything I want, which means I do editing and I'm looking at a dry guitar track so I can see every pick strike cleanly and like I can track rhythms effortlessly. And it's fantastic. I love it. And this is working in UAD Luna. It makes this super easy. I'm really liking it. So having a thing in that where it's like the mic modeling exists. I want a pack like that's amp models, and it's like, and then they can sell like the Townsend Labs microphone thing, the Blackbird Studios microphone collection. They can sell that into the Townsend Labs. Well, now let's sell the Abbey Road amp pack or the whatever amp, who so-and-so signature amp pack or something. Their 3 favorite amps. It'll probably be Studios if they have multiple amps, but or, I mean, that would be absolutely wild if I could plug it into my processor here and
totally.
Capture an amp that somebody brought to me. Because then I would do that for bands. When a band came in, I would, instead of using, I mean, he liked the sound of this just fine, but like he has, I can't remember if it's JCM 800 or it's probably JCM 2000 or something like that. And then, or a 6550, like all these things that show up. Oh yeah, bring it in. We'll model it, and then you'll go put it back in the car, and then we'll just record
and then bring it home and just keep coming by. Yeah, that's cool. Workflow wise, that'd be crazy.
I would love that. I would pay. That would be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, oh yeah. As an end user,
look, that would be worth a lot of money to somebody like me.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah, that would be really great. I was thinking about this earlier today too, and on a similar track, I want to see profiling, whatever it might be called, from Line 6. Like that's what I want. I want to be able to do it on my Helix hardware, which it's going to require new hardware, I'm pretty sure, which Helix seems to not be doing. Line 6 seems to not be doing. It's not the end of the world because I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing at HQ sounds really good, but it'd be awesome again if I could go someplace or just like know that the download I'm getting from their marketplace is so-and-so's real, 65 Deluxe or something, whatever it is.
So when they do, I don't know how they do it. Do they make new amps for that thing? Or is it like when somebody releases something, is it a preset? But when Line 6 comes up with it, they can download new amps. Obviously they can.
They can. So I don't know how they do it, if they're profiling or if they're just, I don't know. I don't know how it works on theirs.
Parameters or something.
Yeah. But so anything that you download from either their marketplace, which is purchased, or from their like community thing, which is all free share stuff, it's all using the existing stuff that's within your Helix.
Right,
so even if it's like, this is based on the such and such live cut of whatever song.
It's somebody who listened and dialed it in.
Dialed it in very closely, hopefully very closely.
And it can be very complex chains and stuff. There's value.
Oh,
in
of
there.
course.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah. And I do enjoy looking through the community stuff and seeing like what has the most downloads right now. Because it'll show you like how many times something's been downloaded, or like what is the highest rated, highest reviewed, and looking at how people set things up. There's a value there too. But I think it would be awesome to be like, for example, like there's a 6505 at our practice space. It's some other bands. Yeah. But like if I could show up and just be like, hey guy, can I plug into this today to profile it and take it home? And like I don't have to take your amp out of here or anything like that. I think that would be cool. Like I would love to do that.
You need a load box to do that because it needs to measure the direct output. So and I think with Kemper,
that's what I mean by some kind of new hardware scenario.
Right, exactly. I've seen Kemper stuff where it involved microphones. But was that
right?
Does that
Kemper
mean that
does.
Kemper was profiling the speaker as well.
I think so. Well, you can do it either way because
they must listen to both ends. Maybe it does both at the same time, where it's taking a feed direct from the amp and then passing it to the speaker and taking that too.
Probably, because what do you do about combos, right?
Right, because Kemper you can turn around and use it as a head, which means it has to delete the speaker out of the equation or it wouldn't work. Right. So I think it must be doing. It's like
I know a couple of
situation.
guys. I know a couple guys around here that use Kempers, and I should just ask them. we speculate about it enough.
This at a different time if we felt like it.
I just think that'd be really cool. I think it would similarly the neural DSP quad cortex will profile pedals, and I want to be able to do that.
So what if you rent, the UAD box, and then you get this thing that profiles the pedal, and you just profile it, and then just return it or something. Have you then created a Kemper pedal?
Oh my God.
It's the neural thing profiles a pedal. They're expecting you to profile what, like a reverb or something?
It'll do overdrives and stuff. I don't know. I've heard with fuzzes it does not do that good a job. Like it'll do it, but it's not. Fuzz is such an unwieldy thing.
It's such a squared wave. Yeah.
It's so dynamic with your individual guitar and your volume knob and stuff like that.
Impedances and everything else.
Yeah. I've mentioned this in the last episode, I think. I want Line 6 to come out with that HX1 that's just an amp and cab thing, like this Boss thing we were just talking about.
Yes.
Like I would not buy that because I don't need it, but I think that is going to be a move that would be awesome.
They've hit all of the sizes. Every size.
I just think that's like such
switch. They've got a 2 switch. They got a 3 switch. You got your 4 switch right over here. We've got one with 5 switches. There's a 6 switch is for people who want a little bit more switches. And then for people who are not quite satisfied yet, we got the 7 switch and then the 8 switch. They're over there on the shelf. Now, if 8 switches is not enough for you, we're going to move you to a rack and floorboard type system where 9 switches.
Is in the bag. I don't even know how many switches are on that thing. I just think that'd be rad, Like I think it's like so clearly the next step. And I can only assume that they're working on it because there's no chance that anyone at Line 6 has not thought of this.
Yeah. I think there's probably no chance that no one at UAD has thought of what I said too. It's just that it's not worth nearly as much money as, let's model the Friedman. Okay, next let's do the
UAD version,
one. Right.
I also generally want to see more amps doing the direct out with 2 notes or something similar.
Yeah.
I think like that's such a good move because then you get the best of both worlds. And it's so much, it adds so much versatility and so much like situational value to your hardware. I just love that.
Yeah.
So, the rest of that question was like stuff about favorite bands and stuff. I want to see vinyl prices come down. That's what I want to see. Yeah, man.
I don't know. It's so funny. I don't think about music that much anymore. Sometimes, every once in a while, I realize that. That's like I don't listen to music that much anymore because like what little time I my ears are not doing something else, I'm going to put in and like listen to a podcast because I'm walking the dogs or something. And then now and then, like I don't have anything in my feed. And that hasn't happened in a while because there's just been a bunch of stuff. But that's when I go, oh, what should I listen to that's like music, right? And it's like, wow.
See, meanwhile, I'm still very hungry for new music all the time. Yeah. And I fall into phases of going back and listening to old stuff, old like when I was a kid or through college and stuff. And that's like got a cool nostalgia factor that I have fun with. But every now and then, we can move right into Thing of the Week here because I have a Thing of the Week suggestion that's a band.
Then it means I have to play a thing. Oh. How spooky.
So, Apple Music, I'm an Apple Music user, and they do this thing now. Oh my God, same. They have this thing now that Spotify's had for a long time, but whatever, called Discovery Station. And it plays things based on your listening habits that I think it knows that you haven't heard before because it has your listening history. So I've been checking that out a lot lately.
That's interesting because like Apple Music has always had, they have like the your favorites and they've got a couple of other
There's like a
your
For You
stations.
thing that's like, I think the For You has a bit to do with like what your friends are listening to a degree.
Yeah. And then there's new music, which I get the impression is a little bit shaped by my listening habits, but it's like, I don't know, it's complicated. So it's nice that they're improving that.
Yeah. So this Discovery Station is considered a radio station within Apple Music. And it is, so it's not a playlist. It just constantly goes.
So if you tune in, is it going to be in the middle of a song?
No, it doesn't do that. But it's just constantly.
That would be very artificial.
It's just constantly adding stuff to the end, right? So it never stops. Like some of these playlists, like your friends' playlists, will end at some point. It's like an hour or something like that. But through this Discovery Station, which I usually put on, again, when I'm in these moments of like, I'm out of podcasts, I don't want to listen to my audiobook, I can't decide what to listen to musically, right? I'll put that on. And I have found a lot of really great music that I've been really enjoying. So one such band that came up from this recently is a band called Spanish Love Songs. And they have a new album that came out earlier this year in 2023. They have a few records out and I love it. It is so good. It's like, it's a mix of, if I had to, I don't like doing genres. I think genres are kind of silly, but it's like, to me, it sounds like a mix of the Gaslight Anthem plus the Menzingers plus the Wonder Years, like kind of in this, it's emo, but it's also like kind of Americana rock in the way that Gaslight Anthem is. Super hooky, really emotive, like really heavy feel stuff. And it sounds awesome. And I'm really enjoying their new album and the one before it. And the problem I run into now is that I find a band and I'm like, this is great. Every song I'm hearing, I am so into. And then I listen to it nonstop for like 3 weeks and I'm sick of it.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's cool.
I need that discovery kind of stuff because it wasn't really that great before. And that's the thing is I need something where I can, in those moments, just click on, just play something at me. In a way that's going to work. A bunch of those older style, the playlist style ones would routinely fail for me in Apple. Like I would turn them on and they would play 2 songs and then end. And it's like, what? That would happen all the time with the Justin's station. Like, here's your station. And it says it's a station, right? And
that's interesting.
It would, 2 songs, and then it would repeat a song, and I go, wait, what? And I'd look at it, and there are 2 songs on this station.
Come
on. I'll go back and look at it again. But it
has been revised. there's also, what was I going to say? I think it's somewhat like Pandora used to be, where if you skip a song, it kind of gets the hint that like not into this right now.
Right.
And it will adjust. So I had it on in the car today on our drive back, and it was great because there's a few things. It's like, yeah, this is cool, and I'll leave it on, and it uses that information that I left the song on. And then other things, I'm like, oh, I like where this is going. Add to library. There's just a button right there. Add to library.
Right. Yeah.
And I use my Apple Music library kind of like a to-do list almost. Like I'll have these like recently added things. Like, oh yeah, I got to check that out. I got to listen to that whole album instead of just the single or something like that. So as of today, I've got like 3 new bands to check out just from throwing it on in the car today.
Oh, that's great.
I think you would like Spanish love songs, Justin.
Well, all right. Well, luckily you're added as one of my friends in Apple Music, so it'll be easy to find. I do routinely see pictures of like you and my brother and stuff with a little like next to some album, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see what's going on here.
I get it. So yeah, that's my recommendation. My thing of the week.
All right. I should pick something for the week. What am I into? I don't know. Frick.
This happens all the time.
I know. It's weird. I feel like I had something in mind earlier, but no, anyway, this is bad radio.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I picked up some new VR games. I don't
Here's
talk
the thing.
about that stuff.
I know it. I know what you're thinking.
Even my video game habit is like super narrow compared to most people's. Like, actually, you know what I'll say is the Steam sale. The Steam fall sale was a big one. Today at like. So it was 10 a.m. Pacific time is when it launched. It was VR whatever. So like they're going to have like a big VR sale. They're like, stay tuned at 10 a.m. today. There's like almost nothing's on sale. And what is on sale is like not discounted very much. The discounts were way deeper during the Black Friday thing. And thankfully I bought a couple of games there. Picked up Veil for $2. It's like a competitive shooter, like a Counter-Strike kind of thing, but it's it's a whole new IP, and for $2,
$2,
you gotta really hate competitive shooters to not get a value out of it for $2. So anyway, it's been fun. But anyway, blah blah blah.
From PAX, we picked up a few co-op games that I'm really excited to check out. I also picked up for my first time a solo RPG that I'm going to hopefully dig into while I'm on it.
Nice.
Yeah, and like there's this is like the Dungeon Master's Guide, basically, but it's called Rune. It's by a guy named Spencer Campbell. He was there at PAX and had a bunch of like solo and then like 2 to 3 player RPGs in these little booklets, and he's like self-publishing them and stuff.
So do they have like their own simplified rule set kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and if that's a Dungeon Master's Guide, if you're solo, you are the Dungeon Master.
And the player and the enemies and everything. Yeah. Yeah. And it tells you like how to manage that stuff and like how to, So I'm really looking forward to this. I think I might just like make a cup of coffee and start. It's called Rune.
Yeah.
And I bought a set of dice that has like the numbers on it are kind of like that Nordic font. So it's going to be all matchy-matchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Neat. Dig it. All right. Well, there you got 2 picks, and I got.
And Justin's pick is join Discord to get in on that ML Sound Labs newsletter or giveaway.
Yeah, join Discord. Look at it for a channel up near the top that has that's for giveaways, and or react to click the little button on the thingy, and then because at the end we can hover over that and see whose names are on it, and that we'll pick a name from that, and you'll get. You'll be mega gented.
Correct.
All right. In that case,
let's get out of here.
All that is left is to thank everyone for listening and watching, and of course thank the patrons who are amazing. It's a true scientific fact that being a patron of the Tone Control podcast makes your hair shinier and more beautiful. And scientific studies have proven that time and time again. So if you want to have shinier and more beautiful hair and also support the show, go to patreon.com/thetone-control and become a supporter. And we thank you ever so much.
I'm scrambling in the show notes right now, so I'm not saying anything.
That's all right. You don't have to say anything because your hair is already beautiful. So
that's so kind of you to lie about. Thanks. Justin, you're taller than me. You know what's going on up there.
I've had bald spots since I was like 25.
It's the headphones.
Is it? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Anyway, so the patrons this week that we thank with our undying love and of course, blessings of great hair are Nick Greenwood, Carson Ricketts, Matthew Fenslaw, Ryzen Wolf, Brian Gower of the Tone Jerks podcast, and I realized I didn't start my music. And where was I? Andrew Walsh of Andrew's Alcove, Sean Wright of Lollygagger Effects, Doug Gann, and of course, Justin's right shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Oh, boy.
Okay. Well, hey, once again, we managed to come up with an episode.
Look at us, man.
It's against all odds. So that's it. We'll see you in a tone control week, and we'll get a newsletter up about that so that anyone who maybe doesn't listen right away, hopefully will check their email and hop into Discord so they can have a chance to win that gent pack thingy and
For
be
sure.
a mega gent. All right.
All right. See you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.